What if I told you that there's an analytics tool that shows you exactly what you need to know about your website visitors, but without the complexity, cookies, and privacy concerns that Google Analytics has? Would you be interested? Well, I hope so, because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why Fathom Analytics has become my platform of choice for website metrics for my business, and why I recommend it to anyone who wants clean, simple website insights without all the headaches. But before we get into that, if we haven't met yet, my name is Meg. I'm the founder of Floating Lotus Design, and I'm a Squarespace web designer and SEO specialist. So, Google Analytics, long been the standard for website performance metrics. It's free, it's ubiquitous, and most of us probably think there's really not a lot of other options. But it's also been super confusing, sometimes difficult to navigate or get the data that you're really looking for without just having to spend hours figuring it out. And that's even more true now that they upgraded to GA4 back in July of 2024. It's even more confusing and overwhelming. So I myself, even though I'm an old pro, was really wanting to find something better, simpler, faster, and more privacy focused. And that's what led me to test out Fathom Analytics. So in this video, I'm going to go over a comparison of Fathom Analytics to Google, some of the pros and cons, show why I made the decision to switch, and then we'll talk about whether or not Fathom Analytics is right for you and whether you might want to try it. So first, what is Fathom Analytics? Fathom is a privacy-focused web analytics tool. It tracks your website's stats without collecting personal data from your visitors. And this is really important from a privacy perspective and also a legal perspective. If you're in the EU or have to comply with things like GDPR, where the legality of Google has come into question. Furthermore, Fathom's been growing in popularity among those people, which are most of us, I think, by now, who just want something that's easy to set up and has simple and clean dashboards. And for those of us that don't require really deep, technical, intricate dives into metrics for our websites. So what's wrong with Google Analytics or GA4? Why would we want to move? Besides those things that I mentioned about Fathom before. Well, Google Analytics is a powerful tool. It has all the data you could possibly want built into it. But along with that, it becomes incredibly overwhelming and it can feel cluttered and just hard to navigate. And with GA4 coming on board in 2024, it seems to have brought even more complexity. And that has just caused a lot of frustration for a lot of users, myself included. Now, Google collects a lot of data. And that's starting to raise a lot of privacy concerns for website owners and for visitors. And that's regardless of whether you're impacted by GDPR rules and things like that. Privacy is a big concern across the board. So more and more people are becoming aware of this and looking for alternatives that they can feel good about using. Furthermore, it's just a steep learning curve with Google Analytics. There's so many menus and options and settings and reports you can dig into. And most people need only basic analytics. They're not looking for advanced tracking and endless reports. So because of this, and because it's become more and more confusing and complex to use, I think that probably a lot of folks aren't even looking at their Google Analytics metrics on a regular basis and therefore not really staying on top of their site performance. They're just avoiding it. That's concerning because if you're a website owner and if you're trying to run a business, it's important to be paying attention to this. And so if you are not doing that because you don't find the platform easy to navigate and it's just stressing you out, that's not a great situation to be in. So let's go a little bit deeper into a head-to-head comparison of Fathom and Google Analytics. So starting with Fathom. First and foremost, it is so easy and fast to set up. All you have to do is type in your site URL. It generates an ID and a small little snippet of code that you just copy and paste into your website. If you're a Squarespace user like myself, you're just going to copy that into your header code injection space. And boom, you're done. It's collecting data already. And it doesn't slow down your site much at all. The script that you load in that code is really small. It's only about like 2 kilobytes versus, Google Analytics script is probably going to be about 10 times that size. So it's really lightweight and quick. Next thing is that you can also import your GA data, your Google Analytics data with one click. And they'll save your data forever. So all you have to do is connect to your Gmail account associated with your Google Analytics account, tell which website you're mapping it to, and in minutes, I've done a few sites now. The longest it took to pull in a lifetime of Google Analytics data was 2 minutes. Done. That's all it took. You still have the ability in Fathom Analytics to set up basic event tracking, things like button clicks and stuff like that. You can create UTMs. So you can get into some more advanced tracking that you might need for your website very easily. Now the dashboard. It has a really simple, inviting dashboard that's so easy to find stuff that matters most to you. And I'll show you a quick view of that in a moment. You can also support multiple domains. So if you're someone that has subdomains associated with it, maybe you have a course or a membership or anything like that, you can easily track and see metrics for each of those domains separately and then all rolled up. Really nice feature there. One thing I love is that you can have up to 50 sites on one account. That's amazing if you are managing multiple websites. Going back to that privacy factor, it strips away all personal info. So it's keeping all of your visitor data private. And because there's no cookies associated with it, a lot of folks won't need to have a cookie banner on their website. Some still do. I know I still do, depending on what other things you have on your site and what you're doing. But for a lot of folks, it can eliminate the need for that cookie banner. And also, as we mentioned, very important, it is compliant with privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA right out of the box. So you have the peace of mind to know that you're doing something that's compliant with privacy laws. And as I've experienced firsthand, they have a very responsive and friendly support team. Something I value far and away, even when it's a tool that I rarely need support on. It's so nice to know that when and if you have a question or need a little help with something, you can count on somebody who's going to respond to you quickly and be super helpful. And the folks running Fathom definitely meet that criteria. Finally, Fathom, because of all of these things, is a paid service. So it doesn't come for free, but it does have predictable flat rates, no surprise add-ons, so you do know what you're getting for the price. Now, let's talk about Google Analytics, or GA4. So as we said before, it's free to use. There is just tons of data available. Pretty much anything you can imagine you need, you'll be able to find it with Google Analytics. And you can go into tons of detail and tracking, but the learning curve is pretty steep, which can be a barrier to a lot of folks. As I mentioned before, the script that you have to run on your website can be much more bulky than some alternatives, so it could potentially impact your site speed a little bit. And it does use cookies and collects personal data, which again raises flags for privacy. And as a result, also requires that you have to have cookie banners and sometimes complex opt-ins on your website so that you obey privacy laws. And finally, it can have frequent updates and changes, which if you're only going in there once a month or once a quarter, that can even leave you more confused and frustrated every time you go to look at your website metrics. So why did I choose Fanalytics if you haven't kind of picked up on it yet? For me, even though I'm a pro, I'm very comfortable maneuvering through tools like Google Analytics and things like that. Even I was finding it to be confusing and a little bit too much work to get what I needed on a regular basis. While I can get into complex stuff, I don't have very deep, complex needs for my website metrics. So it was just getting to be kind of annoying to deal with on a regular basis. So with Fathom, just how easy it was to set up meant I was having way less time creating settings and creating reports that I needed for specific stuff. So I'm spending way less time on configuring the tool than I am on actually looking at the data it's providing. And its reports with that dashboard are super easy to find and use for anyone, from beginners to more advanced folks. It's just incredibly user-friendly. So I'll only jump over and I'll show you kind of a quick overview of my dashboard and show you some of my favorite things about how their dashboard works and the data it presents. So here is a quick overview of the dashboard, just so you kind of get a feel for it. Really nice, simple interface here. This has my website here, plus a drop down for accessing any other sites I have. This is where we can choose date range. You can set up a comparison. You can choose whether you want it on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. and you have the ability to set up filters. Here's your high level. It'll show real time, the number of people coming through during the date range, the views, average time on site, bounce rate, and event completions. And just by clicking on any of these, you turn them on or off. And then you can get a nice graph down here. You get all the information on the pages that people are coming to see, where they're entering, how many visitors, views. You can click in to individual pages to get more detail, or you can click into the list to get more detail. Bounces average time on everything. Easily get back to the dashboard. We have all of our referring, where the traffic is coming from. Love the icons that show up. And high level the sources, organic direct socials, other paid campaigns. All of that information is here, and you can click through more on that. Types of devices and OSs that people are coming through on. Your browsers, countries, regions, cities. Really interesting detail there. Down here is where if you've set up events, like I've set up events to track button clicks, this is where all that information will show up. And down here is another one of my favorites. So this is where you can set up UTMs and all kinds of other stuff. But what I love about this section down here, these sources, is now that more traffic is starting to come to websites from AI, this makes it really super easy for me to see all the different AI platforms that are driving traffic to my website. And I can easily click on that to see what content on my website is getting found on AI. And that can help me to make decisions about what I need to do more of and help continue to show up in the AI platforms for myself. Trying to find that in Google Analytics was a real pain in the butt. So this is super easy to be able to do, really awesome information to have, and super easy to navigate. Well, in addition to that, another reason why I changed was also because I thought that this was something that would be really appealing to my less techie clients who still really care about their website metrics, but are less likely to ever set up, let alone look at their Google Analytics, because it just feels overwhelming to them. They just already have a preconceived notion of like, oh, this is going to be hard and complicated, and I don't understand what any of this stuff means, and can't you just do it for me? So this is something that I think my non-techie clients easily have on their website, and go in and look at those dashboards and have it make sense to them and be able to use the data instead of being afraid of it. Now, it's a paid platform. Of course, I'd rather have a free platform that gives me all this stuff, but you don't get this level of information and privacy protection for free. It's just the way it is. I think their fee and their pricing is an incredibly fair trade for what you're getting. Plus, for me, being able to have up to 50 on one account, that's incredible. I was also inclined to make the switch, not only after testing it myself, but they're also used by a lot of major businesses. And in particular, they're used by my old friends at Termageddon, who I trust implicitly around privacy laws. Finally, the reasons I made the change, it just gave me back some control of my metrics and my monthly reporting. And it's giving me peace of mind now about privacy. I know that I get a lot of visitors from outside of the US to my website. I want to make sure I'm being compliant, and I also want to respect people's privacy, regardless of where in the world that they live. So it's really just given me that peace of mind that I feel good about what I'm doing in my business and with my website. So before we go into whether or not Fathom Analytics might be right for you, let's do a quick recap of the pros and cons of each platform. So Fathom Analytics pros: strong privacy. It's easy to set up and understand. Super clean interface, very simple. Reliable, clear reports. You've got no need for pop-ups or consent banners for most people, little asterisks there. It's fast, it's lightweight, and you have an excellent support team behind you. The cons: it's not free. You probably have some fewer advanced features than you would in Google Analytics, so if you really need a seriously deep dive into data, it's not going to be the tool for you. And it's probably still slightly lesser known, so you may not find as many in-depth tutorials. You're also probably going to find fewer integrations with other platforms. So our Google pros: it's free. It's incredibly powerful with deep data tracking options. And again, it has broad support and integrations because it is pretty universal and everybody knows about it. Most people use it. So it's easy to connect up with other software. What about the cons? As we've talked about, it's complicated, it's cluttered, it's confusing, especially since GA4 came along, and it scares a lot of non-techies away, which keeps them from potentially paying attention to important metrics. And there are serious privacy issues. Who should be considering Fathom Analytics? Well, if you feel lost or annoyed or overwhelmed every time you open Google Analytics, or worse, if you've never even set it up or even looked at it, then Fathom's probably worth a look for you. If you're someone who values privacy, and I also think it's great for bloggers, freelancers, small businesses, nonprofits. It's perfect for those folks that don't need every single detailed stat. They just want some clear, honest numbers that can help them spot trends and help them make decisions for their business. And finally, if you're someone like me and you are managing multiple websites, it's a great tool to take a look at as well because it makes that very easy to manage. So, if any of that resonated with you and you're intrigued and you're thinking maybe Fathom Analytics is worth a look, that is, you want something simple and private, I've included my affiliate link down below in the description. And if you click on that, you can check out their website. You can see a full demo of the dashboard there, and you can sign up to start a free trial and give it a test drive yourself. And if you decide it's right for you, you can then get $10 off your first invoice when you upgrade to a paid plan. So let me know what you think. Are you a diehard Google Analytics fan, or are you thinking something along the lines of Fathom Analytics might be right for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment, or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer any of them for you. I hope you'll take a look at some of my other videos and playlists, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.